It was a cold Tuesday evening. I'd finally got some rest and completed all my tasks. Then I learned of a case that needed to be solved. So naturally, I decided to grab my notebook and my detective hat. Slight problem? I didn't have a detective hat. This'll work. Let's do some supersonic sleuthing. For those of you wondering what I'm talking about, Sega, to celebrate Sonic's 35th anniversary, oh my gosh, I'm old, have released a mystery podcast known as the CHAOTIX Files. This is a podcast on all sorts of different platforms, but I've been watching it on YouTube, that is basically taking the characters of the CHAOTIX, Vector the Crocodile, Espio the Chameleon, and Charmy Bee, and they're solving some type of mystery. So, I decided we're going to help them, and we're going to solve this mystery. Let's get to it. It is incredible to watch all the attention to detail that is in this podcast. For starters, Matthew Mercer playing Espio, coolest thing ever, 10 out of 10, no notes, that's the best. But you'll see all throughout this podcast an incredible attention to detail and references to all sorts of different Sonic games. There's references to Sonic Unleashed. There's references to Sonic Frontiers. There are references to Knuckles CHAOTIX. Multiple references to Knuckles CHAOTIX. And I just absolutely love this. It's very obviously a love letter to Sonic the Hedgehog in the form of a mystery podcast. So, let's give a brief synopsis on this podcast that we know so far. As of recording this video, there have been 2 episodes released of the CHAOTIX Case Files podcast. First being the CHAOTIX Case Files Episode 0, The CHAOTIX Are on the Case, and Episode 1, The Case of the Two-Face Killer. First, Episode 0 begins with our titular team having to fend off some type of buzz bomber after talking to our good old pal Sonic the Hedgehog. Then, they go out to ice cream to celebrate. And then Episode 1 begins with Vector and Sonic somehow captured by Dr. Eggman. And so, Vector begins to recount all the things that happen. Once they had gone out for ice cream, the team had discovered that a priceless artifact, known as the astroscopic lens, had been stolen from a museum. And unfortunately, our friends, Knuckles the Echidna, is the prime suspect. So, the team decides to go sleuthing, and they go to the museum where they meet a man named Kitch, who basically tells them a little bit of details about this astroscopic lens. Then, the team attempts to go to Angel Island in order to interrogate our friend Knuckles. Doesn't quite go as they plan. He basically gives them a couple of one-word answers, or one-sentence answers, I should say, and doesn't give them any information. And then, the team talks to Tails, who then sends Professor Victoria their way, who has some information on this She tells them lens. That this astroscopic lens is designed for amplifying power and was created during the second civilization, known as the Gaia. And so, now, we need to figure out who stole this artifact, why did they steal this artifact, and why is Knuckles the one who's been accused? Did Knuckles do it? He is a treasure hunter after all. Well, detectives, let's look at the evidence, and let's find our suspects, and let's try to draw a conclusion. First piece of evidence we have is that a buzz bomber was dropped off on the CHAOTIX doorstep. For those of you who don't know, buzz bombers were a very common enemy seen in the Sonic games in the 90s. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. We don't quite see them that much in current modern games, so it's curious that an older type badnik was dropped off at their doorstep. Some of you, the moment you heard Gaia, you immediately thought of a very familiar game, Sonic Unleashed. That's right, in Sonic Unleashed, basically the plot is that you have Dark Gaia and Light Gaia. Dark Gaia, this creature that resides inside of the core of the planet, and Light Gaia, who is our little friend Chip. And in that game, we discover that the Gaia people were an extremely advanced civilization that blended technology, mysticism, and planetary engineering. They would build these massive temples and shrines and seal the mechanisms all across the globe. There, their ruins would appear all across the region, and in the game, you had to go to each one of them and take some depowered Chaos Emeralds to them to repower those Chaos Emeralds. On top of that, the Gaia people created manuscripts, ancient texts that foretold Dark Gaia's return and detailed how to stop it. because you see there became this constant cycle of Dark Gaia gaining power and Light Gaia stopping him. So the Gaia people would use Light Gaia to end Dark Gaia's civilization. And so this is what happens in Sonic Unleashed. You basically get to stop Dark Gaia thanks to you and your pal Chip and the power of the Chaos Emeralds. So, whatever this item is, it has something to do with the Gaia people. And we know this from our friend, Professor Victoria. Now, this is not the first time we have seen Professor Victoria. Fun fact, we actually see a brief image of Professor Victoria in the background of the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, very briefly. On top of that, if you are on the Sonic the Hedgehog official YouTube channel and you see a series known as Tails Tube, and Tails Tube episode 11, he brings in Professor Victoria. She appears to be an expert in Gaia research and is able to give us this information. Whoever has taken these astroscopic lenses is attempting to amplify some type of power. What power might that be? As stated, these astroscopic lenses are designed to amplify power in some way. The most common power we often see in this series are the Chaos Emeralds. And in Sonic Unleashed, the different temples all throughout the world that are from Gaia are actually used to repower these Chaos Emeralds in order to prevent Dark Gaia from fully emerging and destroying the world. So whoever has these amplifiers, or at least is trying to gather these amplifiers, is attempting to amplify the power of the Chaos Emeralds, or chaos power of some kind, in order to probably revive Dark Gaia. See, normally it takes thousands and thousands and thousands of years for Dark Gaia to gain enough power to try to break through the world, to be used for evil and amplified to bring him much, much sooner. I believe that is what we're about to see. Okay, so we have a few suspects. For starters, the one that we see in the podcast. Yes, our boy Knuckles has been accused, and the evidence does stack against him. For starters, and according to the video footage, multiple people say this does look like Knuckles. Here's the dilemma, though. For starters, Knuckles is not exactly the smartest individual.
Ooh, let me see. Oh, wait, I can't read.
So he very clearly denies having taken the astroscopic lens, and he's not smart enough to be able to manipulate the Chaotix.
Knuckles! You can't just walk out on us! Remember when, against all odds, we beat Metal Sonic Kai at the new Tragic High Zone?
That's oddly specific.
So you do remember?
No. Call me when there's something I can punch.
One thing to note is that Knuckles does not remember helping the Chaotix when battling Metal Sonic Kai. This is very odd because, I mean, even though Knuckles is not the brightest light bulb in the shop, you'd think he would remember something as significant as battling a giant kaiju Metal Sonic. Now here's the question. Was he mind-controlled or manipulated? Charmy B does suggest that this might be the case.
Wow, everybody's grumpy today. Anyway, it might be Knuckles if Dr. Eggman tricked him again.
I don't believe that's it either. See, if Knuckles was being manipulated, he wouldn't have been talking and communicating the way he was in this podcast. At the very least, he would have probably just been mindlessly going in and taking the artifact. But we hear slightly in the background of watching the video, he's talking, mumbling to himself.
Security footage.
That sure does look like Knuckles. Moves like him too. He made a beeline right to that artifact.
So he's probably not being mind-controlled. And he's probably not being manipulated. Why? Because usually there's only one person that manipulates Knuckles, and I don't think he did this either. So another suspect could be Dr. Eggman. Hear me out. I don't think he's doing this. Dr. Eggman learned from his mistake when he tried to resurrect Dark Gaia. And what did Dark Gaia do? Exactly. Slapped him in the face. No, Dr. Eggman is in the wrong place, wrong time. He was probably battling Sonic, and he just scooped up Vector in the process. The question is, who do we have left? Therefore, I have two theories. Number one, Knuckles has lost his memory, and whether that was after his side effect in Sonic Frontiers of being in the digital world or being transported, or what if Knuckles never helped the Chaotix in Knuckles Chaotic? What if it was someone else? What if it was Weknia or Wekidna, depending on how you read. If you've played Knuckles Chaotix, there is a secret character who basically looks like Knuckles, but a white color. This would explain why we have someone who looks like Knuckles breaking into the museum and stealing this artifact, because it basically is Knuckles, but not really. It's some type of copy of him. Now, in the game, it's just a leftover sprite that was unfinished, and so it's a fun little cheat, fun little Easter egg, fun little hacker thing off to the side that you find. But in this lore, this could be someone deep. We know that Sonic is known for having interdimensional travel, so maybe this is a Knuckles from another universe. Maybe it could be a robot or android of some kind from Eggman, or it could be something else entirely. The question is, though, is this the mastermind, or is Weknia being used by someone else, by something else? We don't know who hired him. We don't know why these artifacts are being stolen. We have theories, but who could be behind all this? I'm not sure. Well, let's find out together, detectives. Thank you so much for watching. This is mostly me gathering evidence and thinking of fun, unique ways that this throughout this podcast, and just kind of following along and giving my theories. Please, 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 please help me solve this. I cannot do it alone. I need your help. Please leave all the information, ideas, thought processes, things that you've noticed in the comments, and let's talk about them. Let's see if we can solve this mystery. It's a great way to celebrate Sonic's 35th anniversary, and let's just enjoy it. Let's figure this thing out, and detectives, let's make it happen. Now, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and all those usual YouTube stuff. And let me know what you guys think of this video. It's mostly me just kind of talking and rambling and coming up with theories. But hey, leave your comments, and let's solve this case. No job is too big, no gig is too small, no lead too dangerous. Chaotix do it all. Catch you guys later.